So Shin, or should we call you Chloe?
Well, so my Chinese name
Yeah.
is He Xin.
The last name is first?
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know that you told me
mentioned
that. Okay.
Yeah, I've never mentioned that before. Yeah, but last name and first name are flipped.
Okay.
He Xin. And it actually sounds a little, I don't know, in English.
Yeah.
It's hard to grasp and practice correctly after time. So, it went off usually.
Yeah.
So I go with Chloe, he here. So my colleagues and students.
Oh, and so they're just
as,
pronouncing your last name as he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
going very easy on people.
And I'm not trying to bring up any political issues, but because of the genders currently running on, they even not calling me Dr. He, they call me Dr. Chloe just to avoid the confusion.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Not Dr. She, not Dr. He, Dr. Chloe.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, I was introduced to you as Shin, and so that's what I've always called you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and your husband said that's what I should call you because that's your name.
Exactly.
But but I have one of my good friends. I've told you this is from Korea, and I don't even remember his Korean name. I just know him as David.
Yeah.
But so I'm sure a lot of people know you as Chloe, and that's how they know you. But
Right.
we're just gonna have a conversation about your life. You and I have been we've known each other for, I think we were just figuring out 2 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And, but a lot of people who will watch this or listen to this don't know you at all.
Right.
And so you have we wanted to do this because you have a fascinating story, just your life, but then even your journey to meeting Jesus and becoming a Christian person. So that's kind of the scope of the conversation, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
And so you grew up in Beijing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So China is my hometown.
Yeah.
And I've always been in Beijing. Just like those New Yorkers, they never really get out of the
big city. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have everything, so it's hard to get out other than traveling. So I've been in Beijing for almost like until I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like my university, Beijing Technological University, and that they have a bridge international program with New Mexico State in the U.S. So when I joined that program, that was the first time I got here. That was in 2018, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and after that, it's just like 2 years finished bachelor, and then 2 other years finished master, and then another 4 years PhD here. Oh wait, 3 years.
And that was all in the United States.
Yeah.
So did you do any university in Beijing?
Yeah, 2 years. The first 2 years.
The first 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was all. That was all in engineering.
Yeah. Initially, I was in. It's called Environmental and Energy Engineering Department. So, we don't have that in the U.S. I don't think we have that in the U.S. here.
Okay.
I think it's always like mechanical engineering. It kind of like a branch in mechanical engineering because we're related with a little bit of bio as well. And then once I got here, I was enrolled immediately in mechanical and aerospace engineering. And then since then, it was just always in that department.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then your PhD is in physics, though? Or
is also in mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering.
Yeah. And
okay.
they just very recently expanded to mechanical and aerospace engineering. That was a big move in the department. Yeah. And now it go back to MAE again.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so you don't have the aerospace PhD or?
No. Well, what I did for my PhD, it's related with aerospace because it's gas dynamics. It has to be somewhere outer the atmosphere.
Okay.
So, it's related but not specific.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, so our conversation will go probably all over the place, but in my mind, it makes sense to go in like chronological order, maybe of life. So, growing up in China, when it came to matters of religion, just describe what was like religious life, or your exposure to different religions, if any. What was that
in
like?
China, right? I think there are so religions. I don't think it's as explicitly mentioned as it is here.
Okay.
So in China, we do have a couple of big categories, like Buddhism is one, is like one major one, and then we also have Islam. Yeah, and then it depends on the like location. We do have a Christian and Catholic.
Okay.
And there's also one, I think it's called Confucianism.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Confucianism is kind of get along with Buddhism a little bit.
Yeah.
They have a lot of common practice.
Yeah, Confucian. Man, I've known about this. People listening probably know more about. It's more of a philosophy, I think, than it is like a religion.
Right, like 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Confucius,
right?
Yeah, he founded that idea, and it's all about the core values of like kindness.
Yeah. So growing up, you knew of all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So you knew of Christianity, kind of, or
yeah, it's actually not explicitly mentioned until we took we took 2 history class. So one is Chinese history, and then another is it's called world history, right? There, I think Christianity was brought up and mentioned.
Oh, that's right.
Did
you read the Bible there too, or
no? Not the Bible. I remember clearly about how they describe the BC. You know, until I got here, I know that means before Christ.
Yes.
Oh no, it wasn't explained like that in China. In the textbook, that's what I clearly remembered. It says before Common Era.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's like, BCE.
Well, and so that even in the United States, in like scientific, they're trying to make that change,
right?
To BCE, and then like now instead of AD, which means in the year of our Lord, they've changed that to CE, Common Era.
Yeah.
So, but the funny thing is, it's still all based around the birth of Jesus.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, Well, I mean, before I even learned this with you, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just know that because in Chinese we call that 公园. 公园 actually, like if we just translate it directly, it just means it's a public way of count the beginning of the year. You know, like a worldwide way to count that.
But nobody told you why that was.
No. No. And well, that point could direct to some point in the Chinese history. So we refer that.
Okay.
Yeah, closely. But yeah, I didn't know that was whether, it's Christ related or not. Yeah, until I learned that from you. That's a great experience.
Yeah. And so your family growing up in China was not associated with any particular religion, right? Like your household?
No. Well, actually, if we have to say this, I think everybody has like their identification book in China, like one page. It just describe all of your identity, your birth date, your religions.
Oh, really?
And yeah, like we have a book, each family. And on my page, like every single family member in my family, we were listed Islam, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I hate to say this, but I never really got into it.
Yeah.
I didn't really follow what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Did you know anybody in your family that did practice Islam?
I think it was my grandparents' generation.
Oh.
Yeah, they did. Mom and dad, I think they practice a little bit.
Okay.
From diet point of view.
Ah.
Yeah. But other than that,
no pork or anything.
Pork,
yeah.
No pork. Yeah. So and I literally I broke every rule. Especially when I got here.
Yeah.
Usually in China they list all the ingredients.
Oh.
So you can avoid.
Oh.
But here I just order a burger. Yeah, if it's pork included, right?
Well, that's just what was gonna.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Because they didn't. Yeah.
I could have. Yeah. So at a point, I just automatically broke the rule. And I told my parents about that.
Did you?
Yeah, and they're out of control of it. So yeah,
That's
so they
funny.
just let it be.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of them. And so, I mean, I'm familiar with this part of your story, but once you came to the United States, and it was New Mexico University, right? And
right, New Mexico State.
New Mexico State.
Yeah.
And one of your first experiences there, wasn't it right away that you were invited to some sort of Christian
almost
church
right away? Yeah. So actually, my impression for Christianity was not only from the textbook. Actually, I think when I was a teenager, there is a writer. His name is Dan Brown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
the Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code. Okay. So I read that book
In China.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's really popular at that. Like everybody in my school
Yeah.
have almost all read it.
Okay.
So our close friends, we read together and we talk about it. I can't remember like clear details, but I do remember the feeling after I done with the book.
Huh.
I remember that it feels like Christianity is it's secret,
okay. Okay.
Things has to be like done beneath the table. It's not a very positive impression, actually, like not very positive impression at first.
Okay.
So just because of the stories in the book, like when we first invited, her name is Mrs. Guo in New Mexico State. So when I first invited and when I see a group of people started to talk about Jesus and like they're so appreciative of their lives, like I was so blessed. I was like, something was wrong there.
Yeah.
There's some like secret ritual or things are going on that I'm sure I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
But so we have 5 students came together for the program.
Okay.
And then I'll be really honest with you. At that time when we were all invited, and we have like 2 strong feelings. The first is we see a lot of like nicely dressed ladies and gentlemen, and they grade us, asked us about our life and how things are going. Like feels like a genuine care.
Oh yeah.
And I actually was scared. I didn't know what are their expectations out of the conversation. Like we don't even know each other. Why?
Yeah.
And maybe that's also like culture related, because honestly, like back in China, we would share our personal life with really close friends, at least with someone we know. But yeah, I've never experienced those, share something with strangers like first time I started to talk about my work and life. That was weird.
So that just culturally, even that's pretty different.
That's pretty different.
Okay.
Yeah. And especially that was like the first month when I got here. And apparently at that time, the level of fluency in English, it didn't equip me well to understand everything going on. So I was still in a transition. Adapt to a new environment.
Right.
And the second feeling that we all trying to get out is that we try to be there for food. And we also try to escape the lesson.
You did?
Yeah. I was saying, if there's a way that we can just leave right after we finish the food.
That's so honest. I love it.
That would be great. So that's how we started.
Yeah.
With like involved with Christianity people. Yeah.
But it wasn't. So you're saying it wasn't you didn't have a super great experience initially with Christianity.
No, mainly because first is the impression that I have got, because it wasn't being any explicitly explained or introduced in a like the way here.
Okay.
When I grow up, I hear it, from the book, from people here and there, like all piece of information that I came up in my mind that Christianity. I didn't even know the word Christianity at the time.
Oh,
right?
okay.
I know Christians, know Jesus. It's all piece of information, and it wouldn't support a big whole story. And of course, that doesn't give the foundation of course, like why I have to believe in it.
Right.
Yeah. Until I got here, and then the first gathering was funny. We can't escape, right? Well, no, I mean, the first one, we didn't know what's going on. So it was like, free food, awesome. And then they asked us to sit down, like a class.
Okay.
So they give us this big, thick book. I was like, that's Bible? I've heard about Bible. I've never read one.
Okay.
And that looks like a dictionary. And of course, as I said, my English level wasn't sufficient at that time.
Right.
And the version that we got is Chinese versus English. So it has translations.
Right.
So it's like really convenient. Even I read the Chinese, I was like, hey, it doesn't make sense. Is my Chinese also bad? Like, I couldn't appreciate. They were talking, even Genesis. They start with Genesis.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the way that they welcome the new students. They don't want to go too deep in the Bible. Is to start with the Genesis. And then I remember the story Mrs. Guo shared. So she said...
was she Chinese?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She and her husband, they're Chinese. And then they have like all their friends and neighbors that was invited that day. Like half Americans, half Chinese, some Korean, like everywhere. Like the diversity was pretty good. Yeah. Then she told us about the boat.
Okay.
And then she said, not even this the boat makes sense. Like it's written in Bible. The story is written in Bible. If you look at the Chinese character of how you write boat.
Yes.
There are 8 people on the boat. At that time, I didn't believe her.
Yeah.
I say, yeah.
You thought it was did you think it was just silly or what?
Yeah, I would say whatever you say, Yeah, try
But you knew how to write the word boat.
I know, but I don't see the 8 people on there, the way that she explained.
Oh, so it's not super clear in the Chinese character. Okay.
No, well, sure, if she called that's 8, if there's any Chinese is watching it, like they you guys probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, there is a 8, but we wouldn't really think that way.
Okay.
Especially if you're not into Christianity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, whatever story you're making up, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the initial impression. And then later on, she kept like inviting us weekly. Yeah. 2 of my friends kept going. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you held on to that Bible, didn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she gave us, like, each one of us a Bible. It would see now when I look back
Yeah.
at my life, it was just amazing how we have moved, because of our study, work, transitions.
Right.
We have moved in 1, 2, 3, 4 states.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, more than 10 times, I think. Even like in one state when we were in Oregon, just in one city, we moved 4 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. When I think, when everybody experienced the same thing when we were students,
Yeah.
we tends to not be like stabilized in one place. So that Bible is just amazingly was always with me. Like, I never think about throw that book away. Because of the moving.
Yeah.
Every time we can carry like less and less,
Right.
especially after I got the 2 girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just throw tons of stuff away and only take the importance with us. In the Bible, I wasn't, oh gosh, I forget the word. Last year, what did I do over the summer with the girls?
Vacation? No.
No, I mean, before the vacation, believed in Jesus.
Oh, baptized.
A baptized. Oh my. Okay. See.
There you go.
Okay, so even I wasn't even baptized,
Yeah.
right? But the Bible was with me,
Right.
always.
Right.
Yeah, I never thought about throwing that away. Interesting, huh?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, along, I mean, there's a number of years in there of going to school, and then you and your husband Shang Yan
Yeah.
were married here in the States.
Yeah.
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 And then you have your two girls now, Irina
Yeah.
and Emma.
Yeah.
And let's just kind of maybe, I don't know, there's a lot of story in there, but let's kind of get to the last couple of years once we met. But so you moved to Houghton, and you had been here before for school, right? And then you came back again,
Right.
for your husband to work, right?
Yeah.
And then you had both of the girls, and you were looking for childcare for them,
Right. Right.
and then how did you end up finding
ELC.
Yeah, the ELC here.
Yeah, that wasn't that wasn't a very pleasant journey, actually. So my husband actually in 2022, he got a couple of job offers. It was a really fruitful year from interview. The results was really good. So he ended up with negotiating with a couple of schools, universities, and then Michigan Tech was one. And I really love to come back because, we know the city is kind of like going home. I really love here. Yeah. So we targeted on negotiating this one like the best as we can. The only thing that we care about is the daycare, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because Irina has type 1 diabetes, right? Yeah, we want to make sure that we know the city is small, the town is small, and the childcare facilities are limited. Yeah. So that's our only concern. So I asked, the first facility that we contacted, and they were like, absolutely, she'll be in great hands. Then we signed the contract with Michigan Tech, like immediately after I talked to the first facility. And then once we moved here, their staff got trained with the specialty clinic. And they realized, oh, taking care of a type 1 diabetes kids, it's a lot of work.
Oh.
Yeah, then they turned on to us.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I thought that was like the end of the life, because that's probably the only facility that I know in town at that time.
Yeah.
I say, do I just need to be home with her for the next couple of years until she can go to public school, like a kindergarten? So I didn't know what to do. And I think a lot of my friends are still asking me this question, like, how did you find out this ELC? Nobody knows. We have been here many years, like longer than you. Like, how did you know that? I don't know. At that time, I don't know what to do. I said, just Google it.
Yeah.
And I saw St. Peter, Powell Lutheran Early Learning Center. I was like, that looks legit. Give them a call and see what's going on. Actually, by that time, I contacted another 2 facility in other city, or like nearby. But they're all full. Like the waiting list was really long. And and Jamie picked up the phone. Oh my! When she said, like, why not? We could give it a try, and you can train us and see how it goes, or you can even like drop her off for a couple of hours and see how she likes it.
Yeah.
I thought, because of the first experience we had with the other facility, I thought it will be another turn down again. Once they learn how much effort they would need to pay for to take care of that type of kids. But eventually it went really smooth. Yeah. And when they said, yes, she can start on that specific day, I didn't believe it. I said, that was nice. But at the meantime, I started to think about like, oh, wait, this is a church-based learning center. And I got involved with this Christian people again.
Those weird people. They keep showing up.
And kind of like, do I have to talk to a pastor because my kids are here? And I think I even asked Jamie, like, do I need to be a Christian to get involved? And she said, no, it's for everybody. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that was just too nice to do. Honestly, that was a lifesaver. Yeah. Or a saving moment when Irina was committed here. Yeah. Wow. And then maybe because of this, I started to get my Bible out of the dust again. Let's see. Okay. And I was determined to read. After the first 2 chapters of Genesis, I can't do it. Not for me. I was still struggled, but I think that really initiated motivation for me to start reaching out for a pastor to try to understand, because I really feel the love that I got from Christian people, which I wouldn't expect from anywhere else. That, I mean, like, strangers could be, that's something else. But I mean, after I believed in Christ, I think I see the world in a brand new way. And it's also not like immediate change. It's like a rooted change, like from, it won't go back to how I looked the world before. Yeah. So, I mean, now I understand why Christian people treat other people the way they are. Yeah.
So it was, so it was, and I know you've told me too, like, even though that your first experience with Christians in New Mexico felt at the moment not positive, reflecting back on it, you can see that they genuinely they were genuine, and that
Yeah.
they loved you and wanted what was best for you. And so
Right.
I think you've kind of, that's been your kind of consistent experience with Christian people, is like a genuinely believe what they believe, right? Genuinely believe in Jesus, and that he loves us. And so we also love one another. I mean, that's what Jesus says, right? When he's asked, what's the greatest commandment? And Jesus says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Yeah.
And love your neighbor as yourself. Right? Yeah. That's what Jesus says. It all comes down to that, right?
Yeah.
And so, but this, I mean, you're fast forwarding pretty quick. I mean, because for you to get to the place of believing in Jesus, actually like really believing him, it wasn't a quick switch.
No. Yeah.
So
no.
I mean, I mean, I remember just like in my experience, we met because, you asked Jamie, who's our director, you started asking some questions about the Bible, and she contacted me and said, Shin has some questions about the Bible. Jamie said, I think I can answer, I can meet with her, answer some questions, but she's really smart, and she's asking like some really deep questions too, and maybe it would be good to meet with the pastor. So I don't know what those questions were, but I just remember you told me, even when we met, that you had been reading the Bible, but not your Chinese Bible. You told me that you went to Walmart and bought like a children's Bible.
Right.
Which I thought was so smart. Like, I always tell people, if they're having a hard time understanding the Bible, to go get a children's Bible, because it's helpful.
Yes, and they have really like different versions. Yeah. They have those only like 50 pages to go through the entire Bible. Yeah. That's efficient.
Yeah, you get the whole story.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, again, you grew up mostly in like secular China, and then your experience of education, which is, you're well educated, has all been in the sciences and engineering and things. And so, so I know that at least what you told me, it wasn't, I mean, the love of Christian people was kind of opening the door for you, but also at the same time, in your study of science, there were certain things that were causing you to ask some questions too, right?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, you and I have had long, like, in-depth scientific conversations. I mean, you've taught me a lot. Are there some like, were there a couple of simple things that you could speak about that were kind of like, there's gaps here? There are questions that are
right. Oh yeah. I mean, naturally, I think whether you're in engineering field or not, everyone could possibly have thought about this question before, is like, where we come from.
You think everybody does?
I think so. No, not really. Oh,
well, I don't know.
I don't know. I think, well, at least at some points, well, I was like, we were born, but like back to the days, the initial point.
Yeah, like, okay, my mom and dad, right? But then my grandpa and grandma, and then...
Yeah. And then just keep going back. Like, the first human being, right? Yeah. Like, where is the first human being come from?
Right.
And then, a lot of... Actually, I try to follow a lot of religions. Not follow. I mean, I try to appreciate the ideas behind it. Because the word doesn't... Theist, yeah. Theist.
Somebody who believes in God.
God, or some like or superpowers. A God. Yeah. So I am a theist. Yeah, that's no doubt. But I just don't know which God to believe.
Right.
And then the reason is that they're just something that we can't explain always through science. And well, once we I got to involved in like a more and more higher level of education, then the question just keep coming back once a while, like where are we from? How the world initially was, like, how is it generated? Then as I'm mechanical engineering, usually mechanical engineers would appreciate a lot of stuff from energy point of view.
Okay.
In like all subjects, I believe that, like for me, especially I'm energy, thermal, fluids, that side, and then energy is a big topic. So I was trying to understand from an energy point of view, like how the world is working, right? So we always say that energy is conserved, means like if I eat, like I'm full of energy so that I can talk and speak with you, but in the meantime I'm losing energy, right? After 2 hours conversation, I got hangry and I need to get more energy. So like the energy can transform from one resources to another, but it's always like the energy is circulating in the world.
Right.
Okay, so that means in this world,
I think you taught me this. I might have learned it in physics in high school, but I didn't remember.
No teaching. I mean, it's just like the energy is conserved currently in the world.
Right.
That's what I appreciate, like how the world is functioning right now. But initially, if it's just the Big Bang theory, for example, if that's the case, how the world is formatting, like from a singularity point, like at the beginning, then that means all of the energy has to be condensed at a point where it's there's I hate to bring up too specific, but there's
keep going.
Einstein's yeah, the theory of relativity means like the energy and mass are like they can interchangeable, right? So which means if we have that many energy, meantime we must have a big mass, and it's all condensed at one point, and without something to trigger it to explode. So I mean, it's just like currently what we have in science that's based on my understanding couldn't explain the beginning of the world. So I believe it must be some power that's outside of current governing laws. That it's some power outside of it. So it still doesn't resolve the question, like, why do I have to follow Jesus instead of other people, right? Other God. But it does give me more confidence to believe that there is something out of our ability to understand how the world is functioning. So there are many gods, actually. And then this is the experience that I had like over our conversations in the past 2 years that made me believe in Jesus, is that I have never experienced the serenity and peaceful feeling when I tried to follow any other God. That was really triggers me to believe, his existence could probably be true. Yeah. I think I've mentioned this before. The peace that I got out of believing in Jesus is just, it's not comparable to any other feeling that I had before.
Yeah. I mean, and you and I have spoken about this many times where this is what Jesus, I mean, Jesus promises a lot of things, but he promises peace. He says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives do I give to you. So, the world can offer you, it can try to offer you peace, can offer you like a comfortable couch, a nice bed, a warm house. You might call that peace, but that's not. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
We just got balloons.
Oh.
That was fun. I did a peace sign.
Oh.
Well, that's exciting. Huh. Well, you got excitement there.
Oh, sweet. What software is this?
Well, it's my Mac. You can turn that stuff off, but I forgot to. Oh, well.
Oh, that's good. Good.
Balloons. But, you see, the world can try to offer you those kinds of things, but ultimately they don't last. And the amazing thing about the peace of Jesus too is that it's always available, and it's not circumstantial. So especially when life is chaotic and crazy, and you've got kids and you work and all, there's stuff, right?
Right.
The world would tell you, be anxious, be stressed, be worried. But Jesus says, be at peace because I'm with you and I'm powerful over all of these things. I've overcome the world, right?
Yeah.
And so like, that's again, when I've seen Jesus bring peace into people's lives, it's like, that's where I'm convinced too.
Yeah.
It's like, well, of course he promises it and then delivers it.
Yeah.
What else what do you want? Right? A God who actually can deliver on his promises in reality. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so, I just remember in our conversations too, there was a lot of questions. But you rightfully so. But I remember one time, like, you saying something about like, I don't know. It was about like believing in Jesus, and you're like, I just don't know if I can. I just don't know if I can, or something.
Yeah, there are a lot of back and forth. Actually, yeah.
And I remember one time, I don't know if you did, but I just remember saying to you, like, well, have you ever just tried believing? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But,
yeah. That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so it was certainly a process, like not just a light switch moment, but just in time, I remember you, even before you kind of like whatever fully confessed like Jesus is your Lord and Savior, you were speaking that way. Like I remember you telling me things like, when I think about Jesus, I've never felt so loved. And I just remember like kind of chuckling, like, well, isn't that evident? Like, is that not evidence enough for you? But in time, I know it just kind of came to make sense to you, and you've looked into the history even of Jesus, and it's it's not just a feeling, it's historic. Jesus is historically accurate too. You've taken this faith journey very seriously and looked into things. But I don't know. So you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a professor at the university. How has believing in Jesus? What has changed? You said like it's not going back to what it was, your worldview. Like, what are a couple of things that are different?
Parenting is always a good example to bring up every time.
Yeah.
I think, but prior to the confession, whenever I have a tough moment with my kids, I'll feel like I have to do a lot on my own to control my temper, take deep breath, and like using all the techniques, like good parenting techniques to get away from yelling at them. And I sometimes will start to question whether I'm a good mom or not. The way, like, is it going to hurt their feeling and they're, have a long-term impact or negatively. So that lots of concerns and stress were there. But like after I started to believe in Jesus, I feel like everything can I just have more confidence in looking at everything happens right now. Like I don't look at the things negatively. And I can understand that whatever it's not happening at my desire, it doesn't really means a negative fact. Maybe it's just, there's a saying, I like it. It's like everything you get, it's God's gift. Everything you don't get, it's God's protection.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I haven't heard that.
Yeah. So I started to get more confidence to accept that everything happens in life. Like if I have a tough moment with my kids, that's a God's gift too.
Yeah.
That's give me the opportunity to start to figure out what is the best way to work with them.
Yeah.
Instead of like prior to that, I would think that it's just, I haven't been reading parenting book for 5 days. I give myself a lot of stress.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, and that's the beginning of faith and trust, is to put your life not in your own control, but in the control of God, and to acknowledge like he's got it better than I do. Because if you have no God, it's all on your own shoulders. You rise and fall based on yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if we're honest with ourselves, that's not good. Because we're not very good. We can't keep it all in check, and so a faith in God, says, okay, you who spoke everything into existence, you who initiated life, you know me, you love me, all of that power, all that energy that you initiate, you're going to put that into loving me? Whoa. Okay. I'm okay with that. You must know what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, and another, and I had a really good conversation with one of the students actually this semester. So he's also interested in the different grow up path. Okay. As I grow up in China and up here, and like work life balance and stuff. So then, what's the highlight point out of the conversation? Is about like one thing that I learned about self-care. I think self-care was brought to my attention before, but I think it was more of a discipline than a genuine self-care. Comparably before I followed and after I followed. So if I consider self-care as a discipline, then if I fail to follow that, it would just need like more practice maybe. But when I know that there's a God love me even more than how I love me. And I feel like I need to take care of myself. And of course the following effect of self-care is that after taking care of ourselves, we take care of other people. Like genuinely. Like how I feel initially when I get involved with Christian people. So that was a really huge change in my life.
I love it. This has been super valuable and really interesting. There's so much more that we could say, and maybe we can maybe we just have another conversation at some point. Pastor Kevin and I do a podcast here at our church too each week where we just sit down and have a conversation too. Maybe we could do that about some topic or something at some point too.
Sounds good.
But I appreciate you telling your story, and it's it's my true joy to call you my friend, but also my sister in Christ, that we get to share this life together. So
absolutely, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I appreciate this chance.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. Awesome.
Yep.